I'm so excited for today's video. I have here with me Rob from Bluegrass Profits, and he has been selling on Amazon for just over 2 years. In that time, he has scaled so quickly that he has just officially quit his job and is now selling on Amazon full time. And he is doing this by strictly doing retail arbitrage. In his first month doing this full time, he was able to pull in nearly 42,000 in product sales. So I feel very fortunate to have Rob here with us so that we can kind of pick his brain a little bit and he can tell us how he is able to do this, because this is truly something that anybody can start doing. And Rob is full of a ton of insight that you're not going to want to miss. So stay tuned with us so that you can hear from him exactly how he was able to pull this off. So I'm excited to have Rob here with us today, also known as Bluegrass Profits on his Instagram and YouTube channel. Thanks so much for being here with us. You are just the perfect example for people to see of anyone that wants to come in here to realize that they can do it if they have the drive that you have. So just to start, explain to us a little bit with how you first got into this whole world of selling on Amazon.
I've always been one for a hustle. Any way I can make some quick cash or just any cash. Done various side jobs. Me and my mom, we paint houses. I build furniture. Done the DoorDash. I've done the Instacart. I've done all those. Trying to find other ways to make more money. Years ago, I actually looked into Amazon. What I found was you got to buy products from Alibaba and you got to put a brand name on it, and people would lose all kinds of money. So kind of put that dream aside 5 years ago. Fast forward to about 2.5 years ago, it was over the summer. I was at a wedding, and while I'm sitting there reconnecting with an old buddy, his phone just dinging. And I'm like, what is that? And he's like, oh, it's my Amazon account. What do you mean? He goes, oh, I've already made $300 today. So we spent the whole wedding, that whole night, I was like, tell me everything about this because I want to know more. Basically, he said, come with me and I'll show you the whole thing. So on Tuesday, he's like, meet me at Target and I will show you how this works, because he goes every single day to Target, just making his rounds, seeing if there's any new toys. So we did a round. He just showed me how he scanned the toys. It was kind of funny. We ran into a FedEx driver who was walking around as well. And he's like, oh, that guy, he's in here about every day scanning the same stuff as me. So he was another Amazon seller. Came home that day. I kind of set up my Amazon account. His name was Tyler, my buddy. And I was like, just tell me, kind of walk me through this. And so we set it up. I actually started buying my inventory, Jurassic World dinosaur masks, as well as the King Kong toys, because that was right when King Kong vs. Godzilla came back out. So I was buying all of this, not knowing gating process or anything like that. I was dead set. I was like, I'm going to make this happen. That wedding was Father's Day weekend, which is June 19th. And by August 17th, I had my first shipment into Amazon. And that was the day my first sale came. He kind of stopped teaching me right when it got to the point of when you put labels on things and how to ship it to Amazon. So I kind of had to figure that out. And I made a lot of mistakes in that process, but we made it work.
So that really is like fate. If you both would not have been at that same wedding that day, it wouldn't have probably ever crossed your mind to sell on Amazon, and you wouldn't have been able to quit your job and be doing it full time like you are today. So I'm curious how you handled that of being gated, because I know that's a big concern for new Amazon sellers. The same thing like you did. They just expect they can start selling in every category, and they quickly realize that there's not much you can sell in the beginning. So what did you do to get past being gated in so many categories?
So because he had already been selling, so he already was able to kind of give me a little lead into different ungating sites. He's the one that told me about Entertainment Earth, so EE distribution. From there, I just started buying things that I could. So I think at the first initial with EE distribution, I ended up buying the Jurassic World. I ended up buying a Disney Lego keychain, which got me ungated in Disney Lego and Star Wars at the same time. I got the Jurassic World, Pokemon. So that was really good. It was a good start as far as the EE distribution goes for ungating. And then as I continued to scan stuff, I realized, yeah, I'm still gated in this. And then, which led me to other websites. Frontier Co-op is a really good one. I think that got me ungated in grocery. There was another website, winersltd.com or Winers or something. But that one was able to get me in like a lot of the HBA items that I needed. And I mean, HBA has been pretty big for me lately. As far as the ungating goes, I just did it. I was like, I have to buy it anyways. I did look for things that I could like break even on or actually make money on, which was good.
All right. So your whole model that you do is strictly retail arbitrage. So you're going into the stores and you're scanning products. So could you tell us a little bit more about the strategy and technique behind that? Like when you're going in, what your mindset is? Are you going to specific aisles? Are you hitting up the clearance first? What's kind of your approach when you enter these stores?
The one store I always go to, I go in like probably 3 times a week. So I already have a good mental idea what's going to be new because I've already scanned practically everything already in that store. I just look for the new stuff. I scan it. It really depends on what I'm going after that day. If I know something's in that store, I might go like pet food. I will go HBA, the health and beauty aids. I will go grocery. I honestly hit every single category out there that I can. I've done electronics as well, shoes and apparel. I'm no stranger to any category because, you know, the more categories you're in, the more you can sell. Which has been very beneficial to everything for me. You know, a lot of my very first videos here on YouTube, I was shopping at Kohl's and I was doing Kohl's clearance. So I was looking forward to those days when Kohl's runs their 50% off extra off their clearance prices. And one thing, you know, having that little Bluetooth scanner, it's downstairs, but having that really helps getting those barcodes because you're not going to do a picture scan clothing because it's probably not going to pull up what you're looking for. So you can also do it very discreetly, just scanning the little individual PCs. If I go to a store I've never been to, I'm just going to start scanning everything. They do say to scan everything. I scan a lot, but I don't sit there and stand in one spot scanning every single thing. I'll look for brands that I know I can sell. I'm in a couple Facebook groups and these people, honestly, they share everything. And I'm like, I think to myself as a 2-year seller, I'm like, why are you selling that? Because you're going to end up like getting yourself in trouble. Like that brand's probably IP related. It just, you know, it doesn't sound like a good brand to me. So I usually try to stay away from a lot of that stuff.
So do you mostly still stick with those bigger name brand stores like Kohl's and Walmart? Or have you kind of like flipped strategy when it comes to which stores you're going into?
I will occasionally run into those Kohl's stores. Kohl's, occasionally go into TJ Maxx anymore. Now that I'm full-time, I have more time to go back into those stores. This one store in particular, I have like the whole state. So obviously, you know, Bluegrass profits. Bluegrass is coming from the state of Kentucky. And so I have all these stores sprinkled throughout. I believe I have 15 stores. That's a smaller chain that I go to. So I am loading up the truck. Depending on what I'm going for, I might get a U-Haul and take it with me. I actually do have a video coming out soon of my number one item, which is why my September numbers were so big. But I had to get a U-Haul for that. If I know there's 20 at this store, there's 20 at the next store, 20 at the next store. So I can hit 10 stores in a weekend. And, you know, I might get 200 units versus the 4 items I might get at this TJ Maxx, and then the 3 items I might get at this TJ Maxx or the Marshalls. So I'm getting more inventory at once of something that actually sells pretty well.
I think that's a really good idea for new sellers to realize is that those bigger name brand stores, everybody's going to, like Walmart and Target. So if you can think outside of the box and start thinking of these smaller chains that maybe are only in your state, that not everybody in the country is also scanning those shelves, that's a really good strategy to kind of have an upper edge over other sellers who are just thinking of these big brand name stores, and to start going everywhere, even to these small mom and pop stores, instead of just where the regular traffic is going for scanning.
Everyone goes to Ollie's, and if you have an Ollie's nearby, like everybody goes to Ollie's. There's over 400 in the country. You might buy something today, and then tomorrow the price has already decreased by $2, and the sellers have already gone to 90 when it was at like 14. So everybody in the whole country is finding this at one time, and the price is just continuing to drop because it's basic supply and demand. Like you said, looking smaller. When you do feel more comfortable, a lot of people do look for liquidations. And you can't really Google liquidations in your area. The best thing to do, I would say, is to get on Facebook, type in liquidations. And because you're going to find a lot more people that are doing like local stuff. Depends on your place. You might not really get a paper trail, which is kind of risky. So definitely wouldn't recommend it for new sellers. But if you are selling stuff that is like the bigger brands, they have good expiration dates. More than likely, you're going to be okay. It's when you get the random items that you might get hit with the inauthentic complaints or the counterfeit complaints. And then if you don't have a paper trail, you kind of get in trouble with that.
And I know that networking had a lot to do with your success in being able to stop your 9-to-5 job and do Amazon full time. So can you tell us a little bit about how having a network of people really led you to the success you're seeing now?
Just coming with time, I realized that networking was huge to find more items. So to kind of give you the idea of how this, I have a group on Instagram that I have created. I had a YouTube video and I was at a store. This is that same small store that I have. I was just kind of scanning the aisles. And when I posted the video, I ended up getting an Instagram message from a guy in Tennessee. He's like, dude, you are missing so much stuff. You're leaving it all on the shelf. And like I said, I might stand in one spot and scan a couple items, but I'm not scanning everything. And it's those items that I didn't scan that I was missing out on. So I kind of developed this relationship with this guy, and we were kind of bouncing back and forth. And he just started flooding me with all the items that the stores were having at that time. Like I said, this guy's in Tennessee. I'm at the top of Kentucky. I wasn't hitting his stores and he wasn't hitting mine. So I was talking to him on a daily basis, pretty much. Another YouTuber, he's actually just north of me in Ohio. He's like 45 minutes from me. I had watched some of his videos and that's how I found this store. So I'm talking to him about this guy that I found in Tennessee and like how he's doing all this volume and sales. And so I'm telling him about him. And then next thing you know, like we have a three-way group chat. We're now all communicating with each other. Fast forwards over the next couple months, there was another item that hit the shelves and there were SheFit bras. And I noticed on Instagram, just kind of going through the feed, that I found another reseller that I followed and she had a cart full of these bras. And I asked her if she got them at the store and she's like, yeah. And so I started talking to her and her name was Rachel and she's from Georgia. She had kind of mentioned like, oh, we should like join forces communicating because of this store. And then there was another guy, his name was Matt, and another Matt's from Alabama, and Daniel, who's from Mississippi. They kind of both reached out to me individually and was like, hey, like, would like to, make a group with you, like, because I know you shop at this store. I was like, hey, like, let's gather everybody together and I'll get their opinion to see if they want to join a group. I think in total there's 10 of us that kind of cover the whole Southeast. But basically when items come into these small stores, since all the stores are getting the same thing, once one of us finds it, we kind of share it with the group. And then we all have an idea like, hey, go get the items before anybody else does. Yeah. So using the networking, I think has been huge. If anybody's in Arkansas, you might be able to join the group because we don't hit that state. And there's a couple stores in that state as well. There's room for one more if you're in the right location.
So you don't like other people in your group that can go to your specific store that you're getting the inventory at. But are you sharing the listings with these people? So is it the same one listing that you're all jumping on? And are you finding that you're all sharing the sales pretty well? Like the buy box is rotating between you. It's not too much competition to have this network with them.
Yeah, that's correct. We will all get on the same listing at one time. The only things we have to worry about really is if we have items with expiration dates and just kind of making a judgment call at the store. If the store has 40 of one item that has an expiration date at the store, knowing myself, I can hit 10 of these stores in 2 days. If I get 400 units, am I going to be able to sell out in that given time period? The listings they go well because we share. And because we can kind of corner the whole entire market of these stores, it's just us on the listing. So, instead of having 90 sellers from Ollie's, it might just be the 10 of us if we all decide to get that item. Yeah, the buy box rotates pretty well. Sometimes we get a little competitive with each other. We might cut each other a little bit. We might start getting a little more nervous with trying to sell out before the expiration date. And an example with Jody from Tennessee, he's going to hold off and he will wait until every single one of us sell out. And then he's going to jack the price. We've sold a lot of Mio, the drink mixes. Price at one point in time might be $40 for a 12 pack. He will wait until the absolute last person. And then he's going to sell it for $55, $60 for the 12 pack. At this point now, he's able to hold off everybody else and then sell and get more money for it, which is why he has really grown to the numbers he has grown to in the last year.
That's a good strategy, though. If you don't need that instant cash flow back, if you can kind of just sit and let those other sellers sell out and then be the only one there and jack the price. That's a good approach to take.
I've had a couple items in the past, but I'm terrible about prepping. So stuff sits in my basement for a long time. The other day, I was kind of going through some stuff. I grabbed this one item. It's a Jergens shampoo, and it was selling for $9.99. When I first bought it, it was like 14. I was making like $5, and then it dropped all the way to 10. Wasn't really making anything, wasn't worthwhile. And now when I scan it again, it's selling for $19. And because I've held off for the last 4 months, every single seller has sold out of it. So sometimes it pays to wait if you can wait out everybody else, because then you have control of the whole market.
And when it comes to either sending the products to the Amazon fulfillment center or merchant fulfilling them yourselves, which strategy do you take?
So I do both. It really depends on the item and some other things I look at. So with FBM, I'm looking at whether, am I the only seller? Because there's been a couple times where it's just been me on the listing. So I will FBM everything that I can, try to get the most sales, knowing that it's going to sell. And, if it's a seasonal item, so that's, back to the very beginning of when I started with Amazon, I actually came across a Halloween costume because it was right about that time. And when I scanned it, I was the only person in the whole country that was selling this item. And next thing you know, I did a full loop of my entire area, clearing out all of these items. I think I made like $3,000 in like a week at that point in time because I was the only person selling this seasonal item. And so FBM was the right move there because I was getting all the sales. Because if I would have sent everything FBA, I would have lost out on probably all those sales. Some advice from the one guy in Tennessee is he does both as well. He might start FBM. While he's doing that, he's sending over half of his inventory to FBA. So basically he FBMs and then he runs out of FBM. And by the time he runs out, FBA is checked in and now FBA takes over. So he's getting the sales up front and then FBA takes over to get the sales on the back end. Amazon, they don't give me buy box for everything. The only thing with FBM, the only thing they give me buy box with is pet food, which I sell a lot of. I do get some apparel FBM buy box. I'm starting to get toys, which I've realized I get toys FBM, but they will not give me grocery and they will not give me health and beauty. So I miss out on a lot of sales because Amazon does not give me the buy box for whatever reason. So it's both categories for me. I do enjoy shipping FBM and I enjoy sending everything FBA.
And with selling on Amazon, new sellers are inevitably going to be making mistakes. I know when I first started and I was sharing my journey monthly, those mistakes I really wanted to share with people in hopes that it would help them to not make those same mistakes. So thinking back to your journey, what would you say has been the biggest mistake to date you've made?
One thing that really comes to mind here is I was finding this toothpaste. When I kind of scanned the item, it showed there was a 1-pack and then there was a 3-pack. They were both profitable. So I was selling the 3-pack and I think I was getting the item for like $3. It was $1 a tube and I was selling it for like $27. I started sending them. I ended up with like 22 orders. And then one day I kind of like looked at it. This says it's fluoride free. What I was actually sending was fluoride. I was like, oh shoot, like I'm sending the wrong stuff to all these customers. I don't know how many fluorides I had and how many fluoride frees I had because I had a mix of both. I don't know what customer received what. So I ended up just refunding all 22 customers their $27. And I think in total it was like $450 something that I refunded to the customers just because I didn't know whether or not they got the right product or not. In total, I was at like $160. Not terrible, but that one did hurt for sure. Biggest thing is just kind of watching the listings, making sure that everything matches up. Some of the bundles that I get on, it might say it's a pack of 6, but it's a 2-pack. Maybe there's 6 items in the one box. So then you're sending 2 boxes of 6. It's just, really trying to fine tune how much is the customer actually supposed to be getting. So reading the reviews, looking at the pictures, making sure everything matches up, because half the time customers on Amazon, they don't look at the description. They just look at the picture and that's what they're expecting. As a seller, making sure everything lines up and matches pretty well.
That was probably a smart move that you did on your part to reach out to all those people and just give them the refund, because I think new sellers need to realize how delicate our account health is and that Amazon only wants good sellers selling on their platform. So if you would maybe have not done that and maybe you would have gotten complaints and negative feedback, that really can kill your account to the point where you can get shut down. So that's probably a smart move that you did on your end there.
With FBM, Amazon is not going to remove the negative feedback unless the customer is vulgar to you. Amazon will remove feedback from FBA. So, in the fact that it was FBM, I had 22 orders. I didn't need 22 negative reviews because I wasn't going to be able to fight those.
That's a good point to make. With FBA, you kind of are saved a little bit more and have a little bit more wiggle room to get out of those negative things. But with FBM, it's all you. You're on your own. Amazon is not going to protect you. And I feel like as a seller, when I'm just buying stuff on Amazon, if I notice that the seller has really bad feedback, I don't buy from them. So that feedback, it stays. What would you say right now is the most challenging part to selling on Amazon?
I think really the biggest thing for me would be probably prepping everything. Because I'm doing the retail arbitrage method, for the most part, I am peeling all of the labels off of everything. I'm having to bundle everything, if it's a bundle, into a poly bag, and then just shipping it out. Honestly, I have inventory in my basement from April. It's now October 8th. So we're talking 6 months of stuff still sitting in the basement just because I haven't taken the time to get it out the door. None of it has expiration dates. If I do have stuff with expiration dates, I'm kind of getting that moving quicker. I told myself when I went full time, I'd get the basement cleared out. It hasn't happened yet. Capital's not an issue anymore, but it definitely is to start. I did get my old college roommates started, and they're kind of finding that capital is a big issue. They're just in smaller areas with not a lot of retail stores, so they're having a little bit harder time, which I kind of expected them to.
I feel like you've been able to scale like pretty quickly. Only have been doing this, would you say, like just over 2 years, you were able to replace your full-time job. But what are your plans to continue scaling month after month?
Just kind of continuing to do the same thing that I'm doing now. I do take frequent road trips. I'll probably get some YouTube videos out here lately, kind of just going over those road trips. But the fact that I am expanding my search to these stores, getting more inventory, it's been helping. Some of the things, one of the guys in the group, he sells everything. And I would sit there and question. I was like, I'm not buying that. Like, that's not going to move. He buys it. And the next thing you know, like 2 days later, he's like, hey, it's sold. And I'm just like, I left it on the shelf. Like, I didn't go grab it. When I do these road trips, my closest store is over an hour away. I can't just get up and go to that store at a moment's notice. So I'm thinking like, wow, I left all that behind. Maybe I should have grabbed it, but I didn't. So as far as growing goes, just kind of trusting myself, trusting the Amazon ranks, making sure it's a good product, and then just buying everything. I'm going to clear the shelf. Some people have a conscience. They're like, I'm going to leave at least one behind. Sorry, I'm taking that. If it is a bundle listing where, maybe I need a pack of 3, but there's only 2 on the shelf, I'm probably still taking those 2 because at the next store, I might find that 3rd one. Mm-hmm. And then if I don't find it, then maybe I'll return the 2 that I had. But I'm going to take the chance and find it at the next store or the next store in order to complete that bundle. So I'm not leaving anything on the shelf.
And finally, what would you say to any new sellers? What is the biggest piece of advice that you would give them just starting?
Try to handle the frustrations of being gated, because you're going to be gated in everything. And I don't know if it's the time of the year because Q4 is coming, but Amazon here lately has been very strict with ungating processes. A lot of people that I've seen on Facebook groups are having difficulty getting ungated in different items. So, I've been waiting on a response from Amazon since probably over 2.5 weeks now for Crocs, even though my invoice is pretty legit. I think it's from footlocker.com. It says invoice. It has everything they required, but still haven't heard. The other advice would be to just scan everything. You can't just go into the store, scan a couple things and expect to find gold that quick. So you got to scan some more, and just branch out into every category that you can.
You've just been a wealth of knowledge for us here. And Rob also has his own YouTube channel at Bluegrass Profit. So if you want to go check that out and subscribe to him and follow his journey even more, I will link that down below in the description area, as well as Instagram. You're pretty active on Instagram as well and always sharing tips there. So he's a great person in the community space to be following and getting advice from. Thank you so much for being here and doing this for us. I really, really do appreciate it. And everything that you've shared with us today, hopefully it will help new sellers out exponentially to start doing this and have the courage to do what you did and to go in full force and to hopefully, if it's what they want to do, replace their job like you did and have this be their full-time business. And it's been fun learning. I love hearing like other people's strategies and approaches and what they're doing.
Appreciate you having me here. It's fun. So now I'm going to go prep, I guess.
Yeah, go get that basement cleaned.